So now, when it comes to market environment, the business doesn't have that much control. The control is semi or it is partial. Why is it partial? Because now if we check 50% of this control is inside the business, while 50% is outside the business. Let me make an example of this control. If the business is developing flyers, yes, of course, inside the business premises, the business can actually draft the flyer, put the information as much as it wants, even the pictures there, also the colors, that the ones to influence the color. But the moment the marketing team steps outside the business premises, then they will never ever force the clients or those target people to take the flyers as desired. No, that is why we're actually saying that the control is semi-control or partial. Okay, right. So now moving on to the macro environment. Under micro environment, as I did say earlier, that this is an external surrounding, meaning it is entirely found outside the business premises. So now here we talk of the likes of the climate change. The business doesn't have any control over climate change. So also the business doesn't have any control over legislation or rules and regulations that the country normally imposes on the businesses. Okay, right. So in this regard, it means that when it comes to micro environment, the business totally doesn't have any control. Okay, right. So now let's check reasons why businesses have more control over the micro environment or less control over the market environment and no control over macro environment. So now, if we check business owners and managers have a great deal of control and over the internal, which is a micro environment of business, which covers day-to-day decisions. So now on this one, remember, I said that since this is the environment or the surrounding that is actually found inside the business premises, then the business have have a full control. Why full control? Because these are the aspects that are normally found inside the business premises. Okay, right. So now they choose the suppliers they purchase from, or which employees they hire, the products they sell, and where they sell those products. Okay, remember here we're actually checking reasons why we are saying that the business does have the extent of control. Okay, right. Use their skills and resource to create goods and service that will satisfy the existing and prospective customers. Okay, remember grade 11s, whenever we talk of a word customer, we normally refer to those individuals or businesses that are buying goods and services. Okay, right. So now, moving on, still on the reasons. Then we have landed onto market environment. So now, market environment for a business includes company-related influences. Remember, I said that this market environment is where the business does have a semi-control, or is where the business does have partial control. And I did give reasons why I'm saying such. Okay, right. So now also the market environment refers to influences that have an impact on the success and informing and keeping a sustainable business operation, and such as competition and the suppliers. Okay, right. So now if the business wants to take long in operation, it means that it should pay attention to the power of competition. Also should pay much attention towards the power of the suppliers. Because now when you talk of competitors we normally refer to those businesses that are selling the same product as the product that you're selling. So now there are different set of strategies that businesses should put into place so as to beat the competition. So it can actually be the quality of the product that they sell. Maybe they can play around the quality there, because most customers, they prefer to buy the products of better quality. And also for businesses to beat competition, also they must pay attention towards the prices that they set for their product. Yes, we can't say the prices should be low, but what you can actually say is that prices should actually be affordable to consumers. So now in this regard, it means that the business is going to gain the flexibility to sell more than the other business that is selling the same product or more than the competitor. Also, the business can engage into non-pricing strategy so as to win the competition. In this regard, it means that the business should engage in sounding advert. They should market their product in such a way that the mass of the people are aware that they are selling that particular product. Okay, right. So now also let's check the supplier. If the business has the reliable supplier, it means in that regard, then the business is going to collect reliable profits, because now the moment they are able to source what the suppliers with reasonable prices. Because now also the business in this regard, when it comes to suppliers, they shouldn't just look for a supplier. They shouldn't just go for any supplier. They should also check the quality, because now customers in most cases, they get satisfied the moment they buy products of a higher quality. Okay, right. So now moving on to the second point, businesses can influence their competitors by increasing the quality of the products in relation with the competitor. Okay, right. I did say this already. Remember, the moment we talk of the word quality, we refer to what? Quality, we refer to the highest standard of the product that satisfies the customer needs. And then if the standard of the product is very high, in that regard, it means that customers are going to be satisfied. So now the moment customers are satisfied, then also they can act they can act also as the advertisers for your product, because they are actually going to give word of mouth. They're actually also going to give the reference to other individuals who never consumed your product, to say that from that particular business, we bought a product of a higher quality. So now it means most people now, they are going to be they are going to give a good or positive referral or reference. Then your business is going to have mass of customers or higher density of customers. At the end of the day, now your business is going to collect enough profits, right? So now moving on to the next point, the opposite can also be that suppliers of raw materials can influence the quality of the business product. Okay, right. Remember this one, I said that businesses should always make sure that whenever they look for suppliers, they must check the suppliers that sell the products of higher quality, and also they must check the suppliers that sell their inputs with reasonable prices. Because now, if businesses just go for suppliers with higher quality, but now the prices are not affordable, in that regard, it means that the business is going to have a challenge when it comes to attainment of reasonable profits. Okay, right. So now moving on to the macro environment. So now remember, macro environment, I did explain from the start that when you talk of the macro environment, we refer to the surrounding of the business that is totally outside the premises of the business. And this one, it is not easy for the business to have control over it, because it does entirely belong outside the business. Okay, right. So now the macro environment refers to the major external and uncontrollable vectors. Remember, these uncontrollable vectors, we can pick out the vectors such as climate change. And remember, I did say earlier that under this environment, the business doesn't have any control. So also remember, the business can never ever have a control over heavy storm. The business can never ever have control over heavy rainfall, as well as the legislations or the rules and regulations that are actually prevailing in that particular country. Also, the business will never ever have control over that. If now the company takes, it says that 25% of the profits, then the business will never ever say, okay, when I can't be in the position to pay 20% of the profits, I prefer to pay 10% of the profits, or I prefer to pay 15% of the profits. But they should what? They should actually follow. Okay, right. So now moving on to the next point, we say that these factors include the economic, democratics, legal, political, social conditions, technology changes, and the natural forces. Okay, remember I did what I did explain this one of natural forces, where I was actually touching on the issue of the climate change and the likes. Also, technological changes. The business will never ever have a say when it comes to the technology changes. But what they must do is to adapt to the current technology that is actually being in use. Okay, right. So now also politics, yes, business will never ever have what a control over politics, or it has a control over legal matters. No. And then also economic aspects do never ever have control over that. Okay, right. So now the above mentioned vectors affect business performance and strategy. So now in this regard, when we talk of the business performance, we are checking the business operation. Remember, the major aim of opening a business or operating into a business is to make profit. And to make those profits, it means that an entrepreneur has to adapt to the sounding strategies to make sure that they attract as many as possible customers. They advertise their products so that they can attract a lot of customers, and as well as the quality of the product should be the sounding quality, or it should be the quality of higher standard. Okay, right, grade 11. So now moving on, the external environment conditions that affect the business are generally beyond the control of the management and change constantly. Okay, right. So now moving on, we are going to check ways in which businesses can be involved in micro and macro environment. So now if we check for the businesses to get involved in macro environment, remember it can only get involved, but it will never ever have control over it. They must check out the influencing suppliers by signing long-term contracts. So it means for the business to sign long-term contracts, they should first make sure that they visit or they undertake their research to check the suppliers of what the suppliers that is going to be reliable. And then the supplier should sell the product of higher quality with reasonable prices. Okay, right. So now when we talk of the contract in this regard, we are checking the agreement between the supplier and the business on the ground. So now this contract, it should show some different aspects, where maybe it should show what the addresses of both businesses. Also, signing should also be indicated there, and also other vectors. Also, creating new uses for product by finding new customers. So now it is always mandatory for each and every business to make sure that they look for new customers, because without customers, there's no business at all. That is why there's even a saying that customers are always right. Why customers are considered to always be right is because that without them, then the business will never ever make any profit. Okay, right. So now also influencing the regulation through lobbying and bargaining. So now this as well, it can actually help some businesses to somehow engage into making reasonable profits. Okay, also initiating bargaining sessions between management and trade unions. So now, guys, when we talk of trade unions, we refer to those organizations that are normally that are normally addressing the rights of the employees at different set of workplaces. So now you may find that the employee is scared to face the management of a particular company, but now what they do, they can actually go to the trade union of their choices, and then the trade union can fight the battle on their behalf, or the trade union can actually take their grievances to the management. Then at the end of the day, you may find that any dispute that was taking place has actually been solved. Okay, right, grade 11. So also influencing its owners using information contained in annual report. So now remember, when you talk of the owners, owners can run the business, and also owners can run the business or manage the business. When you talk of the owners, we refer to those people who are having shares in that particular business. So in most cases, shareholders can either manage the business or run the business, or they totally own their own shares without being there on the workplace on daily basis. Okay, right. So now also we can talk of knowing government regulations and operating within. Okay, so it is so important for different set of businesses to always make sure that they know all the rules and the regulations that govern the businesses. So now, because now the moment they don't know the prevailing rules and regulations that govern businesses, it is going to be very tough for them, because you may find that they will end up not performing whatsoever that has been expected by the government in charge. So in that regard, you find that the business will get fined, or the business will shut down, or now you find that the business will actually get insolvent. Okay, right. So now another one, keeping up with new technologies to improve product and marketing. It is so important for businesses to always make sure that they adapt to current technology. Any technology that is taking place, they must make sure that they adapt to that. Because the moment they don't adapt to what prevailing or current technology, it is going to be very difficult for them to engage into marketing, and also to improve the quality of the product that they are selling. Or now the productivity per person in that regard as well is going to be very low. Okay, right. So now what do I mean by adapting to current terminology, or technology? Guys, as we speak now, you have seen that most of our individuals now, they have landed into social media use. So now the moment the business wants to do the marketing of the product, for it to reach a mass volume of people, they must advertise their product via WhatsApp. They must advertise their product via Facebook. They must advertise their product via Instagram. They must advertise their product via other social media platforms. So now, because now, if you check, most people now they've been captured by the technology. So now, if as a business you also adapt to the use of a current technology, it means that your business is going to be on a good track. Okay, right. So now also we can talk of the lowering of what you can talk of the lowering its impact on the environment. So now remember, in a business we have different set of departments. So under each and every department, they are mandatory to perform their own rules and regulations. So now I just want to pinpoint the department of the public relations. Remember, public relations is a department that makes sure that it promotes the harmonious relationship between the business and the community at which it does operate from. So now the moment there's a good relationship between your business and the community or the society where it does operate from, it means that the chances of making profits are going to be very broad. Here we can say, okay, for typical example, the business in particular under public relations department, they should come up with the project that gives back to the community. For typical example, they should maybe offer them transport to sell maybe recycled items, or they give them a space to sell recycled items, or whenever there's any job or opportunity, it should first be given to them before they engage to other parties. Okay, right. So now moving on, we have entering global market by using internet to source suppliers and customers. I did elapse most of the points regarding the use of the internet. Also working within the law to set up contracts. So also this one of laws, remember data said that the business should always abide by the rules and regulations that govern the business world. So if there is a certain tax that should be paid, so businesses should adhere to that. And also if there are opening hours, then the businesses should follow those opening hours as well as the closing hours. They shouldn't say that, no, I mean, I want profits, But now, if the license says that it should open at 8 o'clock and closes at 8, it should open at 8 o'clock a.m. and then closes at 7 o'clock p.m. So now they shouldn't extend the hours, the opening hours, but they should adhere to that, because the moment they extend the hours, then on that on its own is going to negatively affect the business operations. Okay, right. Also taking advantage of economic changes such as exchange rate, taxes, and the like. So I did explain this one, that a tax will refer to a charge or a levy that businesses are expected to pay to the government. Also, this exchange rate we refer to what we refer to the matching of different set of currencies. Okay, right. So now also the business can stay informed about the challenges and developments in the macro environment, and can adapt to challenges quickly. Yes, it is so important for different set of businesses to always make sure that they adapt to challenges that are actually prevailing around their businesses, because there's no way, one way or the other, the business has to adapt to those challenges. Meaning the business has to get used to those challenges, because the moment the business fails to adapt to such challenges, it means that it's going to hinder them from making or collecting reasonable prices. Okay, right. Also, getting involved in research or development can also play a major role. Businesses should always research. They shouldn't just relax. They should always make sure that they research the product that they are selling. Maybe when they research, this research can actually help them to improve the quality of the product that they are selling, or it can actually help them to engage or to land into new market. Also, you may find that it can also help them to do what? To develop another product. Okay, right. So now let's check the benefits and advantages of involvement in the macro environment. Let's check what the business normally benefit the moment they get involved in a macro environment. Okay, right. So now businesses can more accurately predict events, threats, and opportunities that may rise. Okay, right. So now if you still remember grade 11s, as a business, when we talk of these threats, we refer to competitors. Here we refer to competitors. So now the business should always make sure that they know the power of their competitors, because the moment they don't know the power of their competitors, the competitors will end up taking most of their customers, or in that regard, competitors is going to have a larger market share than their businesses. Okay, right. So now here also we can talk of the opportunities for the business. Also here, the opportunities, a business can actually have the opportunity of opening more branches, or it can have the opportunity of having more of the customers who normally come to their business and buy. Okay, right. So the business can contribute to healthier, more skilled, and productive workforce. So now the workforce in South Africa that we are referring to people who are normally aging from 15 years of age up until 64 years of age. So the moment you are less than 15 years of age, you are considered a minor here in South Africa, and you don't form part of the workforce. Also, if you age more than 64 years of age, maybe from 65 upwards, it means that now you're already old, and then you don't form part of this workforce. Okay, right. So now here also, when you talk of the skilled employee, most of these skilled employees, we refer to those people who are actually having some qualifications, people who went to a different set of schools, and then they have some certain qualification and skill to perform what their roles is expected. Okay, right. It can protect natural resources and meet consumer needs and in a sustainable way. Okay, so now remember, when you talk of needs in this regard, we refer to what? We refer to water, we refer to shelter, we refer to clothing and food. So there's no way that a human being can survive without needs. So that is why they're actually called needs, because no one can survive without the use or utilizing them. Okay, right. So now businesses can contribute to wealthier consumers. So it means that if the business is always there on the ground, and whenever customers normally go there to buy their products, that can also as well contribute to wealthier consumers, meaning it can make some consumers to acquire more of the assets. Okay, right. So reduced industrial conflict. So remember, when we talk of the conflict in this regard, we refer to the differences in terms of ideas. So also we are saying that this is going to increase productivity, meaning when you say this is going to increase productivity we refer to production or processing of goods and services or manufacturing of goods and services per person, meaning in this regard, each and every person is going to increase or improve the volume of the processing of goods and services. Okay, right. So now also the business can accurately promote a cause that is a concern to the society. And then as well, the business can contribute its expertise and resources that can influence the public opinion. Then this is called advocacy. Okay, right. So now, Crypto House, surely we are still enjoying the lesson. So now let's check the challenges of the business environment. So now here we are going to check the components. And then if we check the components, we are going to check the components under microenvironment, and also we are going to check the components under market as well as the components under macro. Remember, grade 11s, I did say from the start that we normally study businesses with the aim of making profit. We don't study business because you want to give back to the society. So now there are different aspects or there are different surroundings that can prevent the business from attaining profit. That is why it is so important for a business to always make sure that it is aware of its surrounding, whether the surrounding is inside or outside or is partial. Okay, right. So now, one of the challenges is our difficult employees. It's so difficult for the business to deal with the employees of a different set of personalities. You find that some employees are complainers. Always when they come to work, they complain about this, they complain about that. So in that regard, the management of that particular business should make sure that they understand different set of personalities, and also they must make sure that they address such personalities in a perfect manner. Also, we have those set of personalities or difficult employees where someone is always late to work, and then when it comes to utilization of the resources, also they are misusing the company resources. So now also the business should make sure that they know how to deal with such people, because the moment they fail to deal with such people, then for its operation is going to be very difficult. At the end of the day, then they end up collecting less amount of profits. Okay, now let's check lack of vision. So now remember, creator 11, whenever we talk of the word vision, we refer to the dream of the business. And then the mission, we refer to the strategies that businesses can actually apply to reach its own dream, which is a vision. Okay, right. So now let's check the lack of adequate management skills. Sometimes you may find that the management skills what they are not enough. They are not enough. You find that a manager doesn't even know the different styles of leading. So now, if they don't even know the different styles of leading, they didn't even go to school. Because remember, normally managers are trained. They are not born like leaders. Leaders, remember, they born with that in their blood. So some of the management, you find that they lack enough skills to lead. So then at the end of the day, you find that is actually a barrier that prevents the business from attaining enough profit. That is why it is so important for businesses to sit down and make sure that they put someone in a managerial position, someone who has necessary skills to perform management, unlike someone who doesn't even know anything about management. Okay, right. Remember, when you talk of the management, I'm going to give you the meaning of management in two ways. I'm going to give the technical explanation of the word management, I'm also going to give you the simplest way of a weight management. So now let me start in a simple manner. In a simple manner, when you talk of management, management is when you get work done through or via other people. You just give a word or you just give a command, then someone does a job on your behalf. That is a simple definition of management. But now, when it comes to technical definition of management, we refer to what we refer to the process of planning, organizing, controlling, and leading organizational resources so as to achieve the set goal of the business. Okay, right. So now also we can talk of the different set of unions. So you find that, remember, I told you that we have trade union. When you talk of a trade union, we refer to organizations that normally fight for the rights of the employees at different set of businesses. Okay, no, sometimes you may find that some trade unions, they don't even know their boundaries. They're too much under each and every angle. To come to this angle is the trade union. So now the business should make sure that they know how to best deal with such trade unions. Because you may find that the trade union can fight for its members to get the increment in terms of the wages and salaries. But now when you check that increment of the wages and salaries, then the business is not in the position to collect reasonable salaries. Okay, right. So now strikes and go slow. So now when we talk of a strike is when employees normally stop working. So now because they have their own grievances that they want the management to pay attention towards. But now when you talk of the go slows, it's when the employees are still performing their duties, but in a reluctant manner. They show that no, we have this grievance, and this grievance should actually be addressed. So now they'll still go slow. They'll still perform their own. They'll still perform their own duties, but now in a manner that is so reluctant. Okay, right. So now also we check skill shortages among employees. Hey, this one is a problem. Most of the businesses they normally do nepotism. They don't even check if those family members do have the necessary skills to perform a certain task. But the fact that they know them, the fact that is one of their family members, they just put them there under any post. So that as well is going to cost the business operation to be very slow, because now this person doesn't have the necessary skills to perform that particular task. Okay, right. So now the business can also pay much attention towards such challenge, because the moment it does fail to adapt to that challenge, then it means at the end of the day, the profits proceeds are going to be very, very low. Okay, right. So now also we have high employee turnover. Hey, this one is a problem of many organizations. You find that the volume or the rate at which they change employees is too much. So now this also can work as can act as a barrier between the profits and the business. Why am I saying this? Because now you find that some businesses in this employee turnover, the rate at which they are changing their staff members is going to affect, because you find that there are those staff members that are very skilled, and now the business change them, and then they hire a candidate that is not much skilled compared to that particular employee. So in that regard, it's going to be very challenging for the business to attain reasonable profit. Okay, right. So now we also have employee absenteeism. So now in most cases, you find that it is so alarming for employees being off duty without even notifying the management. So now it means for that particular day, if the employee is off duty, it is now going to be a challenge to the business, because now the productivity is going to be very, very slow. Okay, right. So now at the end of the day, for the business to collect reasonable prices is going to be a challenge. Okay, right. So now moving on to the challenges of the market environment, competition can also be a challenge. And remember, grade 11s, I told you that when it comes to competition, there are different set of manners that businesses should adapt to. We have non-pricing strategies that businesses can actually adapt to, so as to sell more of the goods and services as compared to other businesses that are selling the same product. Because when you talk of the competition, we refer to those businesses that are selling the same product. So now, in this regard, for your business to defeat this challenge, it means that it should sell product of higher quality with affordable prices. Okay, right. We also have a shortage of supply. So now this one as well. If there is a shortage of supply, the supply of the stock is not reliable, customer will end up leaving your business, because now they know very well that, okay, today when you go to this particular shop, goods are there and services are there, but now the next day when you go there, the goods are not there or the services are not there. So in that regard, this is going to drive away customers. So it's a challenge that a business should always pay much attention to. Okay, also changes in consumer behavior. Consumers normally change their behavior towards your business because of how you treat them, because of how the employees treat them. Because the moment employees fail to treat consumers in a professional manner, then consumers are going to change their behavior towards your business. You find that they can now look for another option. Remember, in the business, it is not easy for you to be alone in that particular market. Because now, if you check, there are few businesses that are monopolizing, or they're having monopoly. When you talk of monopoly, we refer to those businesses that are selling their product alone, and there's no competition at all. So now also we can check what the social cultural vectors as well can also what cause the business to collect lesser profit. Okay, right. So now also let's check the challenges of the microenvironment. We can talk of the change in income levels, and also you can check the change in political changes. You can also check out contemporary legislation. You can also check labor restrictions. You can also check micro lending. You can also check globalization or international changes. You can also check social values as well as demographics. You can as well check socio-economic issues as well as socio-economic challenges. Okay, right, grade levels. So now let's check out the explanation of the challenges of the business environment. So now the challenges of the microenvironment is what is difficult employees. And I did explain the difficult employees, and also we have difficult employees may have negative attitude on the new employees. Because now you find that there's those people who have been working for the organization for quite a longer period of time. But now the moment they see new employees, then they feel threatened. Then they end up portraying negative attitude, or giving that particular employee negative energy. Also, they need a lot of supervision to complete the task in a manner that is satisfactory. So now, to deal with difficult employees, you should always be on the ground, because the moment you are not on the ground, then they do their own stuff, or they do the opposite. So that is why it is so important. Remember, I did say from the start that some of these difficult employees, we can check the personality of a person. Because some people, you find that they always complain. Some people, you find that they can't perform their duties. They move from one officer to the next. Okay, right, grade 12. So now I'm in grade 11s. So now also let's check out what difficult employees can do harm to the enterprise image. Meaning, in this regard, the image of your business can be bad out there. Because now these employees that are difficult, you may find that they talk in a better manner. They don't have good personal skills. The way they talk to your customers, they don't talk to customers in a proper way. You find that they'll be shouting, and then at the end of the day, customers, remember, they talk to one another, then they'll talk bad about your business. Then you find that some of the customers run away from your business. Then at the end of the day, your business has what better image. Okay. So now let's check our lack of vision and mission statement. Lack of vision mission statement will hamper meaningful guidance and leadership to the employees. Okay, right. Also, when there is no mission, the business will lag focus, direction, and single long-term objective. Lack of adequate managerial skills as well. So what we mean is that if the business doesn't have a dream, then for its what strategies to achieve that dream is going to be a mess, because there's no way that in a business the boss or the management of that particular business doesn't have the dream or doesn't have clear dream. The moment they don't have clear dream, it means going down there is going to be a mess to subordinates. So they won't even know what to do. Okay, right. So now lack of adequate managerial skills. So remember this one, we said that this is when some of the managers, they don't have all it takes. They don't have all necessary skills to perform their duties or to lead other people or to manage the resources for that particular company. Also, managers may not be able to provide meaningful guidance and leadership to employees. Also, managers have different styles of managing. So this one, I did say it in my discussion that there are different styles of management. So you may find that some people, they use autocratic style. And then also this autocratic style, you find that is the management where now a person doesn't actually tell what the subordinates what they are going to do. It just makes the decisions alone, or just take the decisions alone. And also we have that one of a democratic where now this manager can actually inform the subordinates that, you know what, this is the goal that you are aiming to achieve, and these are the strategies that you are going to put into place so as to achieve this particular goal, right? And also we can also check in effective management can affect the productivity and profitability of the business. Remember, I did say earlier that when you talk of the productivity, we check the manufacturing of the processing of goods and services by one person. So now this can actually affect the processing or manufacturing of goods and services by one person. And then at the end of the day, you find that the profits that are going to be collected by the business are going to be very low. Okay, right. So now let's check the impact of the trade unions in the business. So now trade unions may create a tension between management and employees. Yes, I did say it in a previous slide. Also, businesses may not be able to meet the demands of the trade unions. I did say that sometimes you may find the trade unions want the business to increase the remuneration of their members. Then you find on the side of the business, it is not easy to increase the remuneration at that time, because now they slow flow of goods and services. Also, in the same manner, the business is not collecting enough profit. Okay, right. So now let's also explain this word demand. When you talk of the demand, we talk of the willingness and ability to buy goods and services. So now, if trade union is actually also there, then this is as well going to affect the level of demand. Also, once employees have a grievance against their employer relating to payments or workers' rights or work conditions, they will declare industrial dispute or industrial misunderstanding. Okay, right. So now let's check the challenges of the market environment. In particular, we are going to check the competition. Other businesses will sell similar substitute products, pose a problem or threaten the success of the business. So in this regard, it means that the business should always be ahead of the game when it comes to beating the competition. They must know very well that the product that they are selling should be the product of higher quality, and also they should know that the prices of the product shouldn't just be low prices, but they should be the prices that are affordable and reasonable. And also they should engage into non-pricing strategies, such as advertising their product in a manner that attracts a lot of customers, or the mass density of customers. Okay, right. It is difficult also to compete with businesses selling the same product and services in certain countries. But I did give strategies on how businesses should actually be ahead of the game, meaning how businesses should actually attract a lot of customers. Okay, sorry. If a business is not able to match the quality of the service or products and the price of its competitors, it would be in real danger. Remember, I did say it that businesses shouldn't play around with the prices, because now playing around with the prices as well now can pose a challenge to the business, because you find that those businesses they also buy from the suppliers with a certain amount. Then they should also cater for transportation costs and the likes before they actually put their own prices. Okay, right, grade 11. So now we are also going to check changes in consumer behavior. So now we are going to check consumers are actually influenced by many vectors and are mostly unpredictable in their buying behavior. So now this one very score. But you can predict your consumers, because if you know very well that you are giving them proper treatment, you know how to take care of them, you care for them, always when they come to your business, you always exhibit, or you always portray or wear a smile on your face, or you always treat them with love and respect. So in that regard, even if it's not easy to predict the behavior of your consumers, but at least you will retain the consumers that you already have. Okay, right. Consumers' preferences and tastes can also change as fashion change and as technology also changes. Yes, as much as consumers' preference can change. So when I, as a businessman or as a businesswoman, as an entrepreneur, make sure that you keep up with the taste or the trends that are normally taking place as we speak. Be in line with a change of time. If now it's time for people who are wearing skinny jeans, make sure that also your business sells skinny jeans. If now this time is time when now people are selling or they are engaging in certain fashion, also make sure that you engage in such fashion, so that you can retain the customers that you are having. So that is why the flexibility in this regard, it is actually needed. Okay, changes in consumer behavior, spending habits, taste and preference present an ongoing challenge to businesses. I did explain that one. So also, a business is dependent on its customers to purchase its product, because the moment there are no customers to purchase that product from the business, it means that that particular business is not going to collect enough profit. Okay, right. So now the challenges include keeping up with changes in consumer taste and demand by doing research, finding ways to influence consumer demand, and conducting advertising campaigns, as well as consumer survey. So now this one of consumer survey is so important for the business to always issue out just a template where they just write some few questions where their consumers are going to answer. Because sometimes you may find that you think you are selling a good product to your consumers, and also a product with higher quality, and thinking that consumers do love your product. But the moment you undertake these consumer surveys, you may find that most of the consumers, they are not happy with some certain aspect or the quality of the product or the prices. So that is why always ask customers, did you enjoy the service? How is the taste of the product and the likes? Okay, right. So now, moving on to another aspect, we are going to check demographics and then psychographics. So consumers' attitude, interests, opinions, and lifestyles determine the characteristics of the consumer. Okay, right. So now also it is so difficult to determine the demographics of the target market, because they change frequently. So now this target market is that part of the society or the community that you are selling to. Okay, right. So now the consumer market is diverse in the cultural and social background, which has a direct influence on choices they make. Okay, right. So now also the challenges include collecting, interpreting information about the target market, and to use the data to develop a marketing strategy. So now also check demographics that can change quickly, and businesses need change just as if they want to retain their customers. Also, we can talk of the likes of social cultural vectors. So now these are vectors that describe the common behavior and attitude of a particular society. So now as society changes, so will the cultural values and practices of individuals change. So now also in this regard, we check that businesses must be aware of change, that they can avoid threats and take advantage of the new opportunities that the change may present. Also, businesses should be aware of social trends and influential campaigns that promoting buying. The challenge is to gather information about changes and to respond to them by adapting practices to maintain and increase its customer base. Okay, right. So now moving on, we are going to check ways in which businesses can overcome competition in the market. So now in this regard, we are going to check management must ensure that the business differentiates itself from competitors by tapping into what the customer wants. So now this one, the business should always carry the market survey or customer survey to check the satisfaction of the customers after the consumption of the product, or after the use of the service, or after they've actually used the service. Then in that regard, the customers are going to give the in-depth of what you are looking, then so that you can improve on that. Also offering more personal services by being responsive to the customer's needs or expectations. So now you only respond to customer needs and expectations if you are flexible enough to carry out customer service. Also offering low-cost extras such as improved credit terms, discounts, loyalty, and schemes. Yes, I know in most cases, some business they love this credit issues. This one is not advisable to businesses to issue out credit. Even if a customer is a loyal customer, before you issue out credit, make sure that you check the credit worthiness of this person. Make sure that you check if this person is a paying person, because sometimes you may find that this person is not going to pay for that particular product. Then at the end of the day, you end up calling that particular person a bad debt. And the moment you write that bad debt off, then it means your profits are going to decline because you spend money to buy such stock. Okay, right. Also charging the lower prices than of the other businesses. No, this one of charging lower prices, I somehow don't advocate for it. But what you must do, you must charge reasonable prices. Play around with the quality of the price of the product. But now don't play around with the prices, because the moment you play around with the prices, then at the end of the day, you end up making lesser profits. Adapt to other strategies that are non-pricing approach to make your business known, so that the customers are going to buy from your business. Okay, right. Now also, we can talk of the selling products of a superior quality and new product services that the consumer might be interested in. That's what I was saying, that when I advocate for higher quality or advocate for excellent service instead of playing around with the prices. Okay, right. So now, moving on, we are going to check the challenges of the macro environment change in income levels. So now in this regard, we check vectors such as unemployment or high interest rate can leave consumers with less disposable income. Reduced consumer spending will result in lower profits for businesses. Political changes also is a change in government can result in political instability and scare away potential investors. Also, a business that relies on imported or exported goods may be challenged by government's attitude on duties and tariffs to be imposed on contemporary legislation. Also, now we check the government has established the National Credit Act and Consumer Protection Act to protect businesses and custom. Okay, moving on, we are going to check labor restrictions The government has passed a number of laws which impose a restriction on business labor practices. Also, these restrictions pose a challenge to businesses that have to find the right candidate for the job. Also, you can check that these restrictions make it a challenge for business to employ suitable people locally and internationally. Okay, right. So now moving on, we are going to check micro lending. So now micro lending, when you talk of the micro lending, we refer to the granting of small loans to people who cannot obtain credit from the banks. So now this micro lending puts pressure on businesses since they want to support micro businesses, but they are big risk as many fail to repay whatsoever debt. That's what I have seen. That's what I have said earlier. And that's what also I've observed, that most of these small businesses, it is a challenge for them to repay whatsoever the amount of money that they have borrowed. Okay, right. So now let's check the globalization or international challenges. Globalization we refer to the exchange of products, services, capital, and labor across boundaries or countries. So here check local businesses are competing with international businesses for local consumers. So now businesses should be aware of global networks and their effect. Okay, right. So now also you must check that the overseas migration of skilled labor can result in local skill shortages. This means more competition for businesses that are already under pressure to compete locally. Some international businesses dump their product lines in South Africa at the price lower than those at which local businesses can afford to sell them. So now let's check social values and demographics. People values influence some of their buying behavior habits as they buy products that they identify with. And also we check the attitude towards saving and branding. Loyalty can impact on consumers' habits. So now in that regard, socioeconomic issues should be paid much attention to. So now businesses are faced with many challenges of poverty, unemployed, inadequate education, skill shortages, crime, and HIV and AIDS. And these are socioeconomic aspect that pose a lot of challenge towards our businesses. Because now when you talk of poverty in South Africa, we check if a particular person is able to spend roughly 21 rand on daily basis. So now, if you check, there are lesser people who are able to spend more than 21 rands on daily basis. Most of the South Africans, they normally afford to spend less than 25 rands on daily basis, meaning that most of people in South Africa are poor. That's how normally we gauge poverty. So now also, if you check the level of unemployment in South Africa, it is very high. So most South Africans are not in office. So that is why you see most of the South African government strategies, they try by all means to even introduce some unemployment grants so that people can afford to buy food, people can afford to pay for water, people can afford to also settle other bills that they have. So now also we have inadequate education, meaning here in South Africa, there are a lot of people who can read and write. So now that on its own, also it poses a challenge because now most businesses they prefer to hire people who can read and write, because as we speak most of the presentations they are done in English, and also most of the presentations they are normally written down. So now for someone who doesn't know how to read and write, then that is a challenge. So now also we can talk of the skills shortage. Yes, most of the South Africans, especially the engineers, the chartered accountants, if you check, most of them are brain trained. What do we mean by brain training? Brain training refers to those individuals who normally acquire their education in South Africa. Then even the South African government, through SASSA, they are the ones who are sponsoring them or funding their education. Then upon the completion of the program that they'll be doing, instead of working here in South Africa, they prefer to work in other countries. So now those are the people that we call the brain trained. So now in this juncture, grade 12s, let's say we shall proceed.